So just let everyone in, Clarinda.
Okay.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the BBD Boom webinar. And today we are talking about 23 HubSpot updates for 2023. Everything you need to know to stay ahead. And it is quite hard staying ahead. We find it really hard. We just live and breathe HubSpot. We don't do any other platforms other than HubSpot. There's so much to do, but there's so many updates. And I was with Yamini, the chief executive of HubSpot recently, and she was asking for feedback. And I was like, I can't think of any feedback other than, can you slow down the updates? So let me introduce myself quickly. So I'm Adam, co-founder and solutions architect of BBD Boom. And we're an elite HubSpot partner based in the UK. And we take care of all your HubSpot requirements if you need any help. But today, I am really pleased to be talking to one of our top consultants, Clarinda, and she's going to be taking us through the updates with me chipping in now and again and asking questions. Any questions you've got as we go through, please just put them in the chat and we'll try and answer them as we go. Clarinda, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do at Boom.
Thank you. I always laugh at that picture because it's so old. We use the same one over and over again. Yeah, my name is Clarinda. I'm one of the HubSpot strategists at BBD Boom, and my job is to provide strategic advice and lead on strategic projects when it comes to anything HubSpot related. So a few different types of projects that I usually work on are fairly simple things like onboardings, where people are just wanting to maybe shift a team to a specific hub or multi-hubs in HubSpot and just wanting to learn and adopt the tools as much as possible. Sometimes it's more of a strategic project where they would maybe, for example, be currently using 5 different systems and they're wanting to find or use HubSpot to combine them properly and make sure everything is working in a seamless way. So I would come in and have a look at those different tech stacks and understand their process, the end-to-end systems, map it all out, and then provide advice on how we can implement HubSpot to make that process as streamlined as possible, make sure you've got like the main source of truth, and so on. So we call that like system mappings. And then a bunch of different bits of projects in between, but basically I'm here to help you use HubSpot in the best way possible, and I have a lot of fun doing it because that's how my brain works. So that's me.
She's very modest. So if you go to the HubSpot directory and look at our reviews, you'll see lots of mentions of Clarinda and all the excellent work she does. So Clarinda, let's get cracking.
Okie dokes. Yeah, so like Adam said, we're going to be talking about 23 product updates. Of course, if you do look at the product updates list in HubSpot, it just goes on forever. So we're actually just going to choose 23 of the ones that I'm most excited to talk about. If you're wanting to know where the product updates are, I can show them to you at the end. But yeah, we'll focus on this 23. I'll talk about them individually, and in some cases, I will bring in some of the use cases that we've had with some past clients as well, and just provide some anecdotes on the side. We will be splitting these updates into 4 main categories today. So the first group will be CRM related updates. Then we'll move on to marketing tools, sales tools, and then finally AI tools, which is one of the biggest product updates that I'm sure everyone's pretty excited about. This is like, it's not just a HubSpot thing, it's kind of a worldwide crazy exciting topic for everyone. So yeah, really excited to share a bit more about that one. And then at the end, we will have some time for a Q&A session. And I will also be covering some just frequently asked questions about product updates in general as well. So, but like Adam said, if you have any questions in between, feel free to put them in the chat and then we can answer them as we go along. So just skipping past this slide, we will begin with the CRM updates. Okay, so the first one I'd like to talk about are presets for teams. Now, if you don't know what presets are, basically this is a way for super admins or administrators to be able to set up specific preset settings for your fellow users in HubSpot. So things like notification profiles, email signatures, languages, date and time formats, all of that stuff, you can actually pre-define their default settings for users for them, rather than them having to go in and do that themselves, which understandably can be a process that's a bit longer than necessary. And then just a side note as well, you'll see on each of these slides at the bottom here, I've also put some instructions on where you can find these settings if you are wanting to just take a look at them while we're doing this webinar. So feel free to go off and explore on your own, and you might have some questions while you're looking at that. But yeah, so that's what presets are. And basically the update is that you can now add this to teams as well. So previously you could only apply them for individual users. Now you can set them for teams. So if you have basically your team structure set up in HubSpot, which you can do on this tab here, you can then just apply one preset to the entire team, which just saves you a whole bunch of time. So a really simple one. Yeah.
Imagine you've got, so let's say the team of developers, you would then set every member of that team would have the same access to the CMS or to custom code actions and stuff like that.
So that's a slightly different one. That's more of a permission settings option, which you can do separately. But this one is more for their kind of user interface. So for example, when they sign into HubSpot, what's the first thing they see? You can organize that for them. What will their email signature look like if they send out an email on a one-to-one contact? And then, yeah, just the other basic things as well, like defaults in their user account.
Nice.
Cool. Okay, moving on. We've got number 2 and 3, which are really similar. So the first one is random split list, and this is actually it seems like a tiny detail, but it's such a big product update to a lot of our, I will say, a lot of marketing hub users. So if you have a massive list of contacts and you are full on into email marketing, this is going to be a big game changer for you. So I know for a fact that on the forums, this is it was a highly requested feature. So basically in your list now, you can, and this applies for both static and active lists, you can actually now split them into percentages or sizes. So as you can imagine, by doing this, you can do things like multiple email variation testing. So just not just A/B testing, you can do lots of different variations. You can do email throttling as well if you are wanting to say, send out an email to a small list and then increase and expand as you go along. And then you also have the ability to do random samples from any list as well. So once again, this applies to both active and static lists. So if you are wanting to know how to use these, just going back here. Oh, sorry, let's go back here. Like I said, the instructions are there. So you just go to the list. There's an actions button on the top right corner when you go to your list table. And then if you click on actions and split list, it will give you this screenshot you're seeing on the screen now. As you can see, you can break them down by specific percentages, or you can just split them evenly if you want to. So really easy to use. And what happens is if you split that list, these will become small sections of static lists, and they will be found in the same folder where that original list is saved under as well, if you've got a really good organization structure set up.
Brilliant. So Clarinda, where we've got clients who have got a genuine need to throttle emails, this could be really good. Like, so say you've got 1 million contacts,
Yeah,
so you can have up to 10 splits.
yes,
So you basically create a list of 100,000.
yeah.
And I guess then you could probably create an automation that says, send this email to split list 1, give it a break, then send it to 2, then send it to 3, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a really good idea I didn't think about. So you could set time delays in between each list. And as you can see, you can kind of name them however you like as well. So it's really easy to identify which list you want to send them to as well. I imagine there will be lots of other use cases for this, but that's definitely the top reason people have been requesting this feature.
Nice.
And same thing for this one. Cool. So let's move on to the next one. So the phone number property type. So this is actually a new field type that HubSpot has updated in their system. So if you are wanting to create a phone number type property, before this, you would just create a regular number property field. So now you actually have the opportunity to create a phone number one. So as you can see, the way it works is if you hover over the phone number type field, so we've created a custom property called business phone number. If you hover over it, this format lets you set a country code and an extension number as well, which is quite cool. I did do a bit of testing on my own, and I did notice that if you were to add this field in a form at the moment, it still seems a little bit clunky. So there might be further updates to make that more accessible, or it might just be me. I'm not 100% sure, but I just wanted to mention that, keeping in mind if you are thinking of having that as a field in a form, just make sure you do some testing before you make that go live. But if you are wanting to, let's say, insert that information directly through a CRM contact record, for example, this is what it will look like.
Brilliant.
Okay, moving on, we have number 5, which is property validations for a few different types of fields. So setting up rules for specific types of properties is an ongoing product update that HubSpot's been doing for quite a while now. So this year so far, they have these 3, and there might have been a few more that have come up since then. But basically, this allows you to set up specific rules for when a value is filled in against these types of properties in HubSpot. So for example, if you've got, so I've got them in order. So custom text is the one on the left, numbers in the middle, and the date pickers on the right. So for example, if you have a date property and you want to make sure that whoever puts that date in can only put a date that is past today, you can set that rule up so that they don't make a mistake. So, you know, for example, putting the wrong year by example, which I'm sure happens all the time.
Do that all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, you have that opportunity to set those rules up now, which is very cool.
And Clarinda, I suppose that this looks quite sort of techie and quite admin-y, but if you are an admin or anybody responsible for the data or have an interest in the quality of the data, this is going to be brilliant, isn't it? It's going to stop people putting rubbish in that creates mistakes or prevents workflows from functioning properly and things.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all part of the work HubSpot's doing to improve the data maintenance and cleanliness over time. That's what Ops Hub is for as well. So I'm sure there'll be lots of new things that you can set up to make sure your data is as clean as possible. And just a little side note, if you don't know about deduplication tools, that's quite a cool one to know about for contacts and companies. So check those out as well. Okay, moving on, we have repeat a past import. So when I first saw this update, the title didn't mean a lot to me because I was like, why would you ever want to repeat the same import? But what they actually mean is the template of it. So imports are probably quite commonly used, especially if you're new to HubSpot and you're just trying to import a whole bunch of data. So in those cases, you probably just do a one and done import. But we definitely have clients that need to use imports all the time. So a really good use case would be if a marketing team gets a lot of leads through live events, they might be, let's say, partnering with those live events and get leads through those events. And so those leads would come into a spreadsheet or something like that. If you attend lots of events, I imagine you have lots of different spreadsheets. If you're attending the same event every year, I assume those spreadsheets would be in a very similar format. So this is where this kinds of past import repetition would be really useful. Yeah. So the way this works is if you've done an import before, and if you've done an import in HubSpot before, you'll know that after you upload a spreadsheet, that's basically a mapping process that you need to figure out. So HubSpot does it really well in the sense that it tries to pre-map as much of that for you as possible, so you don't have to do too much work. But if you have custom properties in there, there will be cases where you have to manually map some of these properties across, making sure it matches the right object, the right property, and so on. So that process can be very tedious if there is a lot of fields that you need to map across. So basically, this feature allows you to kind of skip that whole mapping process. So if you've uploaded a list of event leads once, and you have a new spreadsheet with the exact same format, you can just bypass that mapping step and then just get the context updated straight away. So really useful if you have those types of use cases. Same thing if you are, let's say, trying to import leads from another software that you're using, this could be a really good tool for you.
I was going to say, actually, Clarinda, because unfortunately some of our clients, it's maybe not possible to do an integration or some other reason. And so people might still have to manually take data from somewhere else, and maybe they're doing that every day or every week.
Yeah.
This is going to be amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I had one client that had to do it every 2 weeks as well because they just weren't ready to do the proper custom integration yet. And so they just had to, just to keep things going, they just had to work with spreadsheets for a few months. So this would be a really good one for them. Okay, this is the last CRM update. We'll now move on to Marketing Hub updates. So I think HubSpot over the last year and recently have been spending quite a bit of time updating a lot of marketing tools, which is very exciting. I think there's definitely a few more that I'm hoping to see that I would be very excited about, but for now, they've got quite a good chunk of updates already. So the first one is a small one. It's an SEO tool. So if you are using HubSpot as an SEO tool, this is a good one to know. Side note about SEO tool in HubSpot, you actually don't need to be hosting your website on HubSpot to be able to use this tool. I think a lot of our clients don't realize that. They think, oh, my website's on WordPress, so I can't use this. But that's actually not true.
Wow.
So just keep that in mind as well. And there's 3 aspects to the SEO tool, as you might know if you are using it. So you've got the technical check where it scans your website and then identifies errors. It's got the Google Search Console integration where it basically pulls data from your Search Console and shows you your keyword rankings. And then the third one is a content strategy, topic clustering, like content mapping tool, which is very, very cool. I'm not going to be talking too much about those, but if you are interested in content strategy planning through HubSpot, go check that out. But in terms of this update, it's basically one of the new errors that they look out for when you are scanning your website. So it's actually really easy to do a technical scan on HubSpot. You basically just add your domain in, like type it in and then press scan, and that's it. You just let it sit for a couple hours, and it shows you all the errors that they think you should fix to make sure your website is as healthy as possible and as optimized as possible for SEO. So this additional error that they can now check for is like broken external links, which, as you know, can affect your backlink profile, which also then in turn affects your rankings and SEO. So it helps you identify any broken ones. It shows you the pages where they are located as well, so that you can actually go and find out how to fix those broken links. Along with that, I also wanted to take this as an opportunity to talk a bit more about the technical errors tool. So if you just have a look at what you're seeing here, basically this is one of many errors that they will identify for you on the scanner. So you'll see lots of different ones, and you can see they're also sorted in order of impact. So how high or how much of an impact it will have on your SEO. Technical difficulty, meaning how easy is it to fix, and then finally who should be fixing the error. So it usually either is a marketer or developer, which is cool because if it's a developer error, you can just shoot that over to the right people and they can get it done for you.
Cool.
There's also a new update really recently where you can now also look at SEO recommendations by pages on your website. It only came out like yesterday, so I just put that in really quickly. But yeah, that's for SEO. Moving on, we have some blog updates. Okay, this one I'm particularly excited about. So you can actually now do drag and drop modules in your blog post editing. So if you are hosting your blog on HubSpot, I'm just going to switch over to this tab here. So let's say if you were using the HubSpot blog tool previously and you were to create a blog post, what happened is it would pull the template that you've selected for that blog post, and then you would only have this one box to add text to. And that's all you have in terms of, designing the blog post itself. So now with this update, you can actually add all these additional modules to it and design it the way you need. So you might, let's say, want to have a call to action button, you want to add some images in there, you want to add text. You couldn't do that before. You had to just do it in the one box, but now you can kind of mix and match the different combinations. Yeah, which is really great. And I think it will benefit a lot of readers who are reading your blog post because you can also, improve your readability and scannability on the blog post as well.
Brilliant.
Okay. Okay, the next one is the Social Media Composer full page experience. So this one has been rolled out for quite a while, but I think it's now finally live for everyone. So it's a Marketing Pro Hub feature. And basically, previously it used to be, I think, if you were to create a new post, it would just show like a little pop-up box, but now it's a whole full page experience. So I will say the HubSpot social media tool is a bit of a controversial thing between some of our clients. Some people love it. Some people think it's not good enough yet. So there's pros and cons. It depends on, I would say, how complicated your social posting strategy is. For example, we did have a client that posted on LinkedIn with segmentation layered to it, which is quite sophisticated. I still don't completely understand how they do it exactly, but they basically can't do that in HubSpot, which is understandable. So they are using another tool for it. But if all you need to do is to be able to easily write a draft post, repurpose that on multiple social platforms and have it scheduled to the time that you want, HubSpot will be able to do all of that for you. So in most cases, that's all you need. But now they've basically made that experience a lot more user-friendly and easier for you to manage your schedules as well. So just looking at what you're seeing here, on the top, you can basically select all the social accounts you've got connected. You'll find those platforms then in tabs down here. What you do is you write your draft post here, and then when you click onto these other social tabs, it will copy that draft copy over to the other platforms for you. So it makes it a lot easier for repurposing purposes rather than having to kind of copy and paste it from platform to platform.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the social one. Okay, the next one is a really cool report. So we've got customer journey analytics now, which is very cool. So this type of journey flow report, I think, is also currently available in Google Analytics. So if you are a GA user, you're probably quite familiar with this. But you can now do this in HubSpot as well, which is even better because, as you know, HubSpot has really robust data. They are able to track everything. They can track form submissions, page views, email clicks, all sorts of different things as long as you've got the tracking code on your website. So now you can actually look at specific journey flows in HubSpot to see where drop-offs have happened. So a really good use case for this is, for example, we're running this webinar right now, and we have a pretty good idea of the standard process people take to be able to get to this webinar and what happens afterwards. As an example with this one, the way some of our contacts might find this webinar, the way you might have found this webinar was you got an email from us saying, we've got a webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. Click here to register. You would click on that link, go to a landing page, fill in a form, and then you get reminders to attend the webinar. You're here right now. And then after that, you might receive some follow-up emails from us and so on. So knowing this kind of step-by-step stages, we can then map this out in this journey analytics report and see the conversion drop-offs from one stage to another. What this can then do for us is we can then see, okay, if there's a lot of drop-off between the form submission to the attendance stage, where are we kind of dropping off and why is that happening? So it just really gives us some really good insights to whether or not the journey that we've mapped out for our users are as optimized as it can be, or what can we be doing to improve that even further.
Clarinda, so this is, although we're talking about marketing, of course, I believe you can add in stages that aren't necessarily marketing, i.e. you can add in the early stage of the funnel, like the marketing bit, lead generation bit, and then whether they had a conversation with a salesperson, if that was stage 2, stage 3, maybe they did a demo or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. So, I mean, generally the beginning, it will be marketing assets, things like form submissions. It could be sales, it could be marketing, but you can basically track any type of form submission, and then conversations that happen after that as well. So it's kind of an end-to-end journey. So if anyone is interested in exploring this tool, and I believe this is a marketing enterprise feature, but what you do is just follow these instructions here to get there. But when you get to the reports and create a new report, you will then be able to use this customer journey report. And then there's a view demo option here. If you click on try demo, it will take you to a whole like end-to-end demo of exactly how to work this report, because it's quite a different user interface compared to the other custom report builders. But yeah, just going to click through this really quickly and show you what that looks like. It shows you how to add your steps, what sort of steps you can add in there, how to filter out the reports, which is really useful. So you can filter them by specific form submissions, for example. And then this is what the map looks like. So quite cool. Lots of different conversion data in here. If you want to look at the steps, you can see them down here. And then once you're done, you can save that report to a dashboard, and that's it.
Amazing.
So very user-friendly. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is one of those other like tiny little updates that they're kind of, it wasn't really blasted across the world, but I think is a big thing because it definitely is a highly requested feature as well. And what this is approvals, approvals for marketing assets. So if you have a big marketing team, you might have kind of a hierarchy where someone would first draft a piece of copy, put that in a blog post, and then someone will need to QA that work before approving it to go live. So before this feature was available, there wasn't any approval process that you could kind of follow through with HubSpot. So it would just be maybe saving a draft, and then there's no barriers to make sure that something is not published unless they're actually ready to go ahead. So now you actually have the ability to set up approvals. So this can apply for, I believe, marketing emails, landing pages, and blogs. So you have approvals for all the 4 things that you're seeing on the screen there. And super admins by default will be able to approve anything. If you are not a super admin, you would have to go into the settings here, which I've put instructions down there on how you can find these, to turn on specific approval accessibility to specific users in HubSpot. Once you've done that, anyone who doesn't have the approval permission or publishing permission would then, while they're editing the asset, they would have an option to review and send on the top right corner, as you'd always do. But then when they click on that, they would have to choose a specific person that has those permissions to approve the blog post first, or anything else. So once that has been, what doesn't happen, the approver will get an email notification letting them know that something needs their approval. They can then choose whether or not they want to approve the asset or recall the approval, and then the kind of approval process goes back and forth until they're happy with it. But yeah, really cool feature. Everyone's very excited about it.
Really good.
Our marketing clients really, really love this tool. So yeah, definitely explore that. Okay, the next one, also a very tiny thing, it's resolvable comments. So the reason why I wanted to bring this one up is because it's part of a generally bigger product update that's happened across last year, but a lot of people, funnily enough, don't really know about this tool. So the comments and collaboration tool, which you can now use in marketing emails, landing pages, workflows, and campaigns, it's actually really, really useful because rather than having to get feedback back and forth in like email threads, chat spaces, or anything like that, you can now actually manage these conversations directly on the assets themselves. So for example, if you're building a workflow in HubSpot and you just need some feedback on some of the if then branch criteria you set up, you can actually hover over that specific box in the workflow. So for example, let's say I want some updates on here. I can actually tag, let's say I'm tagging Adam to ask for his feedback. He will receive an email notification for that. By clicking on that, it takes him to this exact part of the workflow so he can comment on that specific feature. So yeah, really, really cool collaboration tool, very easy to use. So if any of you aren't aware this is available, definitely start using it because it's so easy to manage your assets using this.
It's like Google, isn't it? It's like when you're editing.
Yeah, like Google Docs. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Pretty much. So yeah, the tiny update is you can now resolve the comments, whereas before you couldn't. But I just thought it was a good opportunity to talk about the whole thing because it's very good. Yeah, so that's all our Marketing Hub updates. We'll now move on to sales. Okay, so updating due creation form properties based on pipeline. So this was funnily enough, one of the features that a client had requested right before the update came out, and then they were really happy to hear that it was out when it happened. So basically what this allows you to do is when a sales rep needs to create a deal, they would have to fill in a form with the relevant information required, and then decide what sales pipeline that goes on. So previously, before this update, when you are creating the deal, that form is standard, regardless of which pipeline that deal is going to fall in. So now you can actually create different types of deal forms, depending on where or which pipeline it's going on to. So sales pipelines, as you know, they're generally used for sales processes. Some companies have just one pipeline, but others have different ones. And in Boom, when someone always asks us the question of, okay, how many pipelines should I have? Our general advice is just to say, well, if the processes are very similar, just keep them simple. But you will definitely have use cases where the processes are completely different because the products you're selling are so different. They require different discovery processes, scoping, maybe some testing, and so on. So by those different processes, you might also have deals that have different requirements and different questions. And so this really comes in handy. So
the one I can think of that I get a lot is people who have a direct sales channel and a partner channel in B2B.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a great use case for this.
Yeah, basically the questions they ask the end customer, let's say, are completely different to the conversation you have with a partner. But previously you'd have to fill in all the same questions. It'd be really irritating, wouldn't it? It'd be like, oh, I've got to, that question's not relevant for me. Why are you asking me?
Yeah.
So streamlining it.
Yeah, and definitely. And also just making sure that only the useful properties are on the right sales pipelines as well. So yeah, if you are wanting to explore that, it's basically just a little add pipeline logic new tab when you are editing the deal creation form, which you can find in those instructions on there. Moving on, we have the ability to clone products in the product library. So if you are a business that has lots of products and some of them have very similar features, so you might just have a couple of properties that are slightly different, this will be very useful for you. So previously you would have to basically create a product from scratch and fill in every single field every time you're creating a new product. And now what you can do is you can just right click and select clone, and then it just copies the entire thing over and you just make some minor edits for your new product. So once again, a very small update, but very, very useful. I also wanted to mention a side note that if you didn't know, you can also import products. So if you have a spreadsheet of products, you can just upload the spreadsheet like you would with a contact or company as well. And that's one way you can add those products in. But if they already exist in the system and you just need to make like a slight variation of them, the cloning tool will be really useful for you.
That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, moving on, we've got calendar view. So I actually have 2 product updates for this one. So this is really cool. Basically, this will be applicable to you if you have your calendar synced to HubSpot, so be it Outlook or Google calendars. If you have your online calendar synced to HubSpot, when you are wanting to book a meeting with a contact record in HubSpot, and if you click on the book a meeting feature on the contact record, now you can actually open up this pop-up box here right on top of the contact record where you can actually see your actual calendar, look at when you're busy and be able to pick time slots based on your calendar. You can also click directly into the days themselves as well, to pick a time that you want to book with that contact, which is super cool. So this kind of calendar view wasn't available before and now it is. So yeah, it just makes it really easy. So you don't have to cross-reference, open up your calendar in a separate tab, and then just have to figure out, when you're available and when you're not.
Brilliant.
Great for sales and maybe customer service as well. Now, the extra layer on top of that, which is also a very, very new update, is you can also now book meetings on behalf of other users. So what it means is, so you're seeing on the top left here, you've got host. So you can actually now change that to another user. So if you've got big sales teams with like specific structures, so let's say you've got a BDR that books the initial meetings, and then if they want to follow up by passing that lead on to someone else, like an AE or an account executive, you can actually get them to now book meetings on behalf of those AEs, rather than, having to once again go back and forth looking at their calendars and so on to be able to get those in at the right times.
Brilliant.
Yeah, really useful if you've got massive sales teams.
Well, Clarinda, we've had a quick question that says, can you use this for scheduling tasks?
So this is just for meetings at the moment. So I don't think you can do them for tasks yet, but hopefully they will come up with an update for that. Although if I do find anything about task, I will let you know, because that sounds like a really useful feature for us as well.
I mean, obviously you can assign tasks to people through manually or through automation. But I wonder if this is scheduling it for a specific time. I suppose they mean, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends on how you're booking your task as well. If you're referring to like the HubSpot task specifically, then maybe this wouldn't be applicable. But for myself, sometimes I book tasks by booking meetings through my calendars. So that could be a workaround, because that would be, I might just maybe book a meeting against my own contact record or something like that. And that could work. So, but I don't know if that would be relevant to your question, but yeah, hopefully they will come up with something for tasks as well.
Future tasks, it's hard to see how many tasks in the future in a day. Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, you can filter them by time and you can have queues. So
Yeah,
our clients will, instead of having a massive list of tasks, they will have queues for specific types of activity, like prospecting, like customer follow-up. They can then be assigned to people. So then you could apply a filter to that queue, to just look at the ones that are relevant to you or whoever. And then I guess there's time-based filters that you could apply as well on the queue. It is probably how we would handle that.
yeah. So I go to the sales and then sales drop down in task. If you want to look at all those different features and see the best way you can filter them, you'll notice that they're filtering options on there as well.
Yeah. But it's an anonymous attendee, so if you want to get in contact, we can happy to show you through some of that if you like.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on, we've got colored deal and ticket tags. So the deal one is a bit older. The ticket tags came out just a few days ago, from what I saw anyway. But yeah, basically with the screenshot here, as you can see, there's these like green boxes that I called large deals, just part of the demo. But basically you can now create a customized deal tags in your sales pipelines, and they can be different types of tags depending on what pipeline is on as well. So the way it works is you can set up one tag based on a specific criteria. So really common use case, and we've already seen a lot of our clients starting to apply this one because it's been highly requested as well, is that say you consider a large deal to be anything that's over £500,000 as an example. You can set up your tag requirements whereby if the deal has a deal amount of over 500,000, you would add that deal tag massive deals as an example. And then just save that in the settings. And then when you go back to your sales pipeline, you'll then see these tags pop up. So these are not manual additions to individual deals. You have to set up the criteria for those tags to happen in the pipeline settings first, and then you'll see them apply in the sales pipeline. So just to be clear, you wouldn't click on an individual deal, apply the tag. It just applies automatically according to what you set up in your pipeline settings. So if you are wanting to use this, obviously, that will give you like really good visibility on the deals that are most important to you as well. You can find them in those instructions there. So just going to the deals pipeline and then customize deal tags option. I forgot to mention, if any of these tools you're not actually seeing in your portal, it might be because it's in public beta. At the end of the product update, I'll show you how to do that, how to get into public beta if you need to get access to some of these updates.
Brilliant.
Okay, the next one is team goals. So team goals already exist in HubSpot, but now they've basically made it a bit easier for you to set up team goals. So previously in HubSpot, you can set up either a team goal or you can set up individual user goals, but you can't do them at the same time. So this allows you to do that now. So what you're seeing here is what now you can now do if you are creating a team goal. So if let's say we've got a sales team in BBD Boom and it consists of Clarinda and Adam, I would first create the team goal. So your team needs to be set up in the HubSpot settings first and include the people that are relevant in there. Once you've done that, go to the goals, which you can find under reports, goals, and then create goals. You set up your team, select the team that you want to create those goals for. In this case, I've chosen a revenue type goal, and it would be a template goal as well if you're working through that process. Once you've done that, there will be this option here to ask if you want to enable user goals. If you check this, this box here will open up and it will show you all the users that are part of that team. And then from there, you can apply your targets for each of those people. Side note, not a part of the product update, but if you click apply target, this will allow you to apply a similar goal for every single month rather than having to edit these boxes individually.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think the other really cool thing there is that, and it was one of the updates last year where you could set your own fiscal year.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was really frustrating for us because, as you can see there, Q1, well, one of our quarters is March to May, and that didn't feature in any of the HubSpot ones. It was a bit annoying. So it was the ability to do that. And now you can then see that in here where it plays out with the team goals. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
definitely. With the Q1 and Q2, you can actually do that monthly as well, depending on what your HubSpot settings are. So the goals don't always have to be quarterly. They can also be monthly.
Brilliant.
And then with these user goals, another useful thing to know is the total of these user goals do not have to match up with the entire team goal. So you can actually afterwards add the other users to that team as well if you need to.
Nice.
But also goals are really useful for lots of different types of sales reports. So really useful. These are usually most useful for people with a paid seat because you can do forecasting with them as well. If you want to use the forecasting tool in HubSpot, you need to have a goal set against that user. So that's useful to know. Yeah, that's team goals. Okay, moving on, we've got conditional logic to create record forms. So this one's quite useful as well. basically now you can actually, and this is for any record, so it could be a deal, a contact, or a company, any of those creation forms. So like I showed you before, we were talking about a deal creation form. If you were to edit a specific record type form, you can now add conditional logic to what fields that person who is filling in that form needs to put in. So as an example in here, let's say we are working with a B2B company, like Adam said before, that has different selling models. So it's a direct sales, or it could be with a partner. So let's say some of these contacts in your CRM are partners rather than people you're trying to sell to, you're selling with them. So you might have a custom property called contact type that differentiates the different types of contacts you've got in your CRM. So if, let's say, they are a partner type contact, you might have different fields against that contact that you want to know about, compared to what you'd have as like a regular lead contact. So that would be a really good use case for this type of conditional logic form.
Brilliant. Again, plays really nicely for the people who are responsible for maintaining data quality, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Just making sure you've always got the right information every time. And as you know, with these forms, you can also make some of the fields required, so they wouldn't be able to create a record unless they have specific information put in there.
Nice.
Okay, the next one and the one after that are about playbooks. So playbooks is a feature that the sales teams get really excited about when you tell them about it, because a lot of them actually, when they first get HubSpot, they don't really know what it is or what it does or whether or not it even exists. But you can think of playbooks at a very basic level as like a call script, that it can do a bunch of other things as well, but that's probably the most common use case for it. And call scripts can be, as you know, used for both sales and customer service teams. But if you are a small team and you have maybe like 5 playbooks, they're generally quite easy to find and know. Playbooks can be created for different types of calls. So you might have a discovery call playbook, you might have a qualification playbook, and then maybe a closing or proposal type playbook. So if it's a small team and you have maybe 5 playbooks, it's fine. But let's say you have an international team, you have different types of services with different teams that sell them as well. You might find you're creating, maybe 100 different playbooks for different teams and different use cases. So HubSpot now allows you to set up advanced recommendations. And the way this works is you basically set up a rule in the playbook whereby, let's say the contact has reached a specific deal, or a deal has reached a specific deal stage, and it also meets specific criteria against that deal. HubSpot can allow you to then recommend a specific playbook exactly for that deal, depending on what deal stage it's on. That's just one example. There's lots of different rules you can set up. But basically what that allows you to do is when you go into that deal record, there's a playbook section on the right column, if you scroll down just a little bit. And rather than that rep customer service or sales rep having to search for the correct playbook, that recommended playbook would show at the very top, so they can just click on it and just proceed with the call. So it just saves them like that few minutes of the day every single day.
Really useful.
Yeah. So I quite like that one. And the rules are very easy to set up. So just follow these bits here and you'll find where to do that. And the second one is also a very minor update, but you can now have required questions in playbooks as well. So basically a playbook can only be logged if they fill in information into those specific questions.
Very nice.
Very small thing, but can be very useful. Same thing for data management purposes as well. A good thing to know about playbooks is this is available for Sales and Customer Pro Hub and up. But if you have the enterprise level hub, you have access to quick answers in your playbooks as well. So rather than them having to type out the answers every single time, you can just like click a quick answer. So it really makes the call flow more smoothly. And also you can also map specific answers to properties in HubSpot as well. So you don't have to copy and paste the information over. So really useful for data management overall.
Nice.
So that's all the updates I have for sales. We're moving on to AI now, which is very exciting. So as we all know, this is a big trending topic at the moment because of ChatGPT. So there's 2 main HubSpot updates that I'd like to share with you today. The first one is Content Assistant AI. So I believe, and I might be wrong actually, but when I last checked, it was still a waitlisted tool. So if you are wanting to find this, I think the easiest way to find it is just search HubSpot AI, and it takes you to their AI landing page, and there will be a waitlist option for both this tool and ChatSpot, which I'll talk about next. But yeah, once you've been accepted into their waitlist, you will then have this tool available in your HubSpot portal. Now, of course, as HubSpot partners, we opted into it straight away, so we do have access to this tool. So I'm just going to show you really quickly what it can do, which is a very few second demo, but you can actually now use this tool to write sales emails. You can also use them in your Outlook and Gmail plugin, which is very cool for sales emails as well. As long as you've got the integration set up between HubSpot. You can use it to write blog outlines, generate blog paragraphs, and compose your marketing emails as well. So in terms of how it works, basically you get opted into the waitlist, and I believe if you have it brand new, HubSpot will show you a bit of a pop-up when you use one of those tools just to let you know how to use it. But if I were to say go to this one here, all you need to do is just hit a slash button and then choose what you want to generate. So let's say I want to generate an outline. I would put a prompt in here. So if you have used ChatGPT, which I assume you might have because everyone has, you can just ask for, let's say, I'm going to generate that. I can't remember if they're actually using the 3.5 or 4 model, but it is a ChatGPT model as well. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so it just generates that content for you, and then you can use that, paste it in your blog, and then expand on that further. So there's a few things you can do with it, as you can see, but it's pretty efficient, and you can do it directly on the blog post itself as well. So you don't have to, once again, jump from platform to platform. So
Brilliant.
yeah.
It's so good the way, I mean, it's quite a feat, isn't it, to insert this into the relevant parts of HubSpot like this, where you might actually use it and insert it. And I just think it's just amazing how HubSpot has really understood AI.
Yeah.
And so quickly, built it into the platform.
Yeah, they basically jumped on it straight away, because I think there were a couple of companies that tried to set up their own integrations, but HubSpot was on it the next week or a few days after as well. So yeah, it's quite cool. HubSpot does have its own other native AI tools as well. So things like adaptive testing and I think recommended, or they have a property where they show you how likely a contact is to close based on AI data as well. So a few other things in there that we have talked about in past webinars. And if you're interested in AI in general, the last webinar we did was also about AI, the one that Adam did with Peter Mengen, which is quite interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so this is one of 2 main AI updates that HubSpot has. The other ones had been existing for a while. But the next one, which I think has had quite a bit of a buzz, is ChatSpot, which is something that it was, I think, ideated by Dharmesh, which is one of the co-founders of HubSpot. So that's him over there. So the best person to explain this in detail would be Dharmesh. And so I highly recommend just Googling ChatSpot and watching this YouTube video to get a full demo of exactly how it works. He also explains the goal behind this tool as well. But just as a quick explainer, and I'm hoping I give it justice, but please, yeah, feel free to just give it a go, because it's really fun to use as well. But this is the goal of HubSpot. So first of all, just looking at this diagram up here, and this is part of that, I just took a screen grab from his YouTube video. Generally, when you are using a piece of software like in HubSpot, you'd have kind of a goal to perform a specific action. So for example, if you are wanting to build a report, you would log into HubSpot, click on reports, click on dashboards, maybe click on create reports, and then click on the custom report builder, and then build the report. So there's a few point and click steps that you take to get end goal. So with AI and with the way ChatSpot is designed, it now gives you the ability to skip all those point and click steps. So you have your goal, you give them a prompt, and it will produce the end result for you. So it just saves you a whole bunch of time. Now, I will say that ChatSpot is still in alpha at the moment, so it's not 100% there. And you will notice that when you are starting to test out the tool, as I have myself, but I can see what it will become very soon, and that's very, very exciting. Now, along with this goal, what ChatSpot is able to do is actually combine a few different pieces of software and allow it to talk to each other through the prompts that you provide them. So this is based on a ChatGPT model, which is good to know. The fourth one, which is the latest one. It then also connects your HubSpot CRM, of course, and then DALL-E, which is the image generator tool, and also Google Docs. So one of the things, for example, you could do is you could ask it for information from HubSpot, push that data across to Google Docs or Google Sheets. You can ask it to generate content using ChatGPT, generate content or generate images using DALL-E, all in that one ChatSpot application. So lots of things you can do with it, as you can imagine. Let me just see if I can show you an example. So this is what ChatSpot looks like. And once again, I think this is still a waitlisted app. So if you are wanting to do it, I would sign up to the waitlist, and I think you hopefully will just get accepted into it fairly quickly. But once you have access to it, you would just need to connect your Google account and your HubSpot portal as well to be able to use that information. Now, on the left side here, these are a bunch of prompts that already come with ChatSpot. So I didn't write any of these. They just came with the software. And I think it's a really good, it just makes it super user-friendly. If you don't know where to start, this is probably a really good way to do it. So there's a few prompts in here. If you just click on them, it will just produce some of the information for you. So one of the things I clicked on was research company bbdboom.com. So as you know, in HubSpot, the primary identifier for company records is the website URL. And that's what they use to look up information as well. So if I use this, it then produced this card for me based on information about BBD Boom that is publicly available. They found it online and they pulled that information and added it to this chat here. Now, once you've seen that information, what you can actually do is you can choose to add that information straight into HubSpot. You can track the company. I don't really know exactly what these two do, but some of you might, and that will be useful. But yeah, along with that, you can actually, I think one of the things that Dharmesh had shown in the video was you can actually research companies based on specific criteria. So it doesn't have to exist in your CRM. You can just say, please find me a list of 100 SaaS companies with an annual revenue over 10 million pounds a year, and it will produce that list for you. I will say I did try to do that test myself in this ChatSpot, and I don't know if my prompt wasn't right or if it's just not quite there yet, but I wasn't able to get the data straight away, but it does have like a notification that tells you this is something that they understood, but they're not yet able to produce. So I assume that maybe in the beta module or when it actually is like properly live, you will be able to do that.
Actually, Clarinda, that's quite an interesting idea for a future webinar, isn't it? At the point that this is public live, we should have a launch, like I'd almost say a launch party, because it feels like such a huge step forward. I mean, the idea that, you know, we're all used to going into the CRM and clicking this and downloading that and looking at that list and putting a filter in there, whereas now you literally type it. Although I also noticed that it's got voice a little microphone icon there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that.
So we get to the point where it's like, you know, please give me a list of all my customers by lifetime value and give me the top 10 or whatever. Bang.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll lose the ability to type, I think, quite soon.
Yeah, just tell it what to do. It's like what you see in the movies, right? Just say like, oh, just tell me, do this for me and do that for me, and then we just do it. So yeah, we're getting close to that stage, which is very exciting and very scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the other cool things that it can actually do is produce reports, which, like I said in that click and point example, is you can say, okay, ChatSpot, give me a report on all the contacts I have and split them by life cycle stage. It will produce that report for you and then say, okay, let's turn that into a bar chart. It turns it into a bar chart. And then you say, okay, can you put it into my HubSpot dashboard for me? And then it just does that. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. If you just don't like clicking things, this is good for you. There is also a prompt library that I noticed recently in here. Not too much information at the moment. I think there's like, oh, actually, yeah, there's like 50 prompts in here. I don't really know how this is generated at the moment, but I assume this will fill up soon. Maybe it might be a publicly contributed one, but yeah.
It's really good, isn't it? Because we've all now got to become prompt engineers, haven't we? We've all now got to learn, you know, a different way of interfacing with knowledge and the internet and CRM. So it's quite nice that they've got that little library to give us clues.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely one to look out for and play around with if you haven't already. Let me just go back in here. So these are just some of the prompts that I saw on one of their website pages as well. So ChatSpot, really good one to look into. And that's my final update. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in. Whilst anyone might be chipping in with some questions, just quickly, if you are wanting to know how to opt into a product that update that is still in beta, I'm just on our demo portal at the moment because I'm a super admin of this one. So first of all, you need to be a super admin. If you are, click on the drop down on the right side here, go to product updates. It will take you to all the product updates that HubSpot has, and they just put updates in real time. So as you can see, a new one came out today. And this is where I get a lot of my information from. And so there's Kyle Jepson, if you do follow him and his product updates on LinkedIn. And then if you click on the betas option here, you can then look at the product updates that are available in public beta, and then just click join. And then you can enroll your account in there. And then you have access to the tool straight away. So if you are wanting to, or if you're noticing you don't have access to some of these that I've talked about, they might just be in public beta.
Brilliant, Clarinda. Well, I don't think there's any questions at this point, but I've said to everyone, if you want to get in contact with us in the future, the next few days, few weeks, whatever, with any questions, please let us know. And, you know, I think I'm going to do a post after this about my top 5 that you talked about. And I would say they're obviously ChatSpot was one of them. The SEO tool and the fact that you don't need to have a HubSpot hosted website for it to apply. I did not know that. Booking on behalf of other people in the meetings tool is amazing. Yeah. Well, that sounds quite geeky. The stuff around, you know, forcing people to, you know, formatting properties in a certain way, brilliant.
Yeah.
And the pipeline one, I think having different deal cards, creation cards for different pipelines is absolutely brilliant. So Clarinda, obviously, I didn't learn anything new today about how clever you are and how much you know about HubSpot, because we already knew that. But thank you very much for sharing all your knowledge, and really enjoyed today, and appreciate your time that you put into it.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.